From the first breath of a baby boy, the machinery of society begins its relentless work, molding, shaping, and ultimately breaking him into an acceptable form of masculinity. This isn't accidental. It's systematic conditioning that spans generations, enforced through subtle cues and brutal consequences. Every interaction becomes a lesson in what it means to be a man, and the curriculum is ruthlessly effective. The education begins in childhood, where boys quickly learn that their emotional range must be severely limited. A little girl scrapes her knee and is scooped up in comforting arms. A boy suffers the same injury and is told to shake it off. When he cries, he's mocked as a baby, or worse, compared to a girl, the ultimate insult in this twisted system. These aren't isolated incidents, but part of a comprehensive indoctrination that teaches boys their feelings are dangerous, their vulnerabilities shameful. The playground becomes a training ground where emotional suppression is rewarded and authenticity is punished. As these boys grow into teenagers, the conditioning intensifies. Romantic relationships become another arena where they learn painful lessons about emotional expression. The cruel irony is that while women often claim to want emotionally available partners, their actual behavior frequently tells a different story. Many men can recall the exact moment they first opened up to a romantic partner, only to watch attraction evaporate before their eyes. The slight stiffening of her body, the barely concealed discomfort, the way conversations suddenly become superficial. These subtle rejections teach men that vulnerability comes at the cost of intimacy. Meanwhile, the emotionally unavailable bad boys continue to thrive, reinforcing the lesson that emotional armor gets results where authenticity fails. The workplace completes the indoctrination. Here, men learn that their value is strictly tied to productivity and provision. The unspoken rules are clear. Work longer hours, take on more responsibility, sacrifice health and relationships at the altar of career advancement. A man who prioritizes family over work is unambitious. One who struggles to provide is a failure. This creates an impossible double bind where men are simultaneously expected to be present fathers and husbands while also being relentless providers. The system offers no room for balance, only varying degrees of inadequacy. Perhaps most tragically, this conditioning extends even to men's closest relationships. Male friendships, while often deeply meaningful, typically operate within strictly enforced emotional boundaries. Men will die for their friends, but can't tell them they're struggling. They'll spend hours together talking about sports, work, and women, but the moment real emotion surfaces, the discomfort is palpable. Jokes deflect sincerity. Alcohol becomes the only acceptable emotional lubricant, and vulnerability is met with awkward silences or performative machismo. What passes for brotherhood is often just collective loneliness in disguise, a group of men drowning together but pretending they're fine because admitting otherwise would break the fragile illusion of masculinity they've all agreed to maintain. The ultimate cruelty of this system is how it gaslights men about the very damage it inflicts. Society mocks men for being emotionally stunted while systematically stunting them. It laments male loneliness while punishing men who seek genuine connection. It claims to want vulnerable men while consistently rewarding emotional detachment. The message is clear. Masculinity is a performance where the script is written in stone, and deviation comes with social and romantic consequences. Breaking free requires recognizing these patterns for what they are, not natural truths but constructed prisons. It demands that men have the courage to be imperfect, to feel deeply, to prioritize connection over performance. But more importantly, it requires society, especially women, to examine how they unconsciously reinforce these toxic patterns, even while decrying them. Real change won't come from telling men to open up while maintaining all the systems that punish them for doing so. The chains of masculinity are invisible but heavy, and it's time we stopped pretending they don't exist. The work of raising boys who feel safe expressing their emotions begins long before society's pressures take hold. It starts at home, in the small daily moments where parents can either reinforce toxic stereotypes or dismantle them. Instead of telling sons to toughen up when they cry, sit with them and say, "It's okay to feel this, tell me about it." Model emotional honesty by naming your own feelings. I felt really frustrated today, so I took a walk to calm down. So they learn emotions aren't threats to manage, but signals to understand. Encourage them to articulate sadness, fear, or insecurity without shame. And when they do, meet their vulnerability with acceptance, not discomfort. Teach them that strength isn't silence, it's the courage to say, "This is hard for me," and the resilience to ask for help when they need it. Most importantly, challenge the cultural script that boys must be stoic by fostering friendships where emotional openness is celebrated, not mocked. The goal isn't to raise soft men, but whole ones. Men who know their feelings don't make them weak, but deeply, powerfully human. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. The emotionally stunted men we see in the world today aren't born that way. They're made, and the making starts early, often with the best of intentions from parents who think they're preparing their sons for the real world. But here's the truth. We're not preparing boys for the real world by teaching them to suppress their emotions. We're handicapping them for life. The work of raising emotionally healthy men begins in those everyday moments that might seem insignificant at the time, but actually shape a boy's understanding of what it means to be a man. Like when your son skins his knee at the playground. The automatic response for many of us is to say, "You're fine, shake it off." But in that moment, we're teaching him that his pain doesn't matter. What if instead we said, "That looked like it hurt. Do you want to tell me about it?" That simple shift communicates that his feelings are valid and worth expressing. Parents, we need to understand that emotional literacy is just as important as any other skill we teach our children. And like reading or math, it starts with modeling the behavior we want to see. When we have a bad day at work, instead of slamming doors or drowning our frustrations in silence, we can say out loud, "I felt really frustrated today because..." This shows our sons that emotions aren't things to be afraid of or ashamed by, but normal human experiences that we can talk about and process. The language we use with our boys matters tremendously. Phrases like "big boys don't cry" or "man up" aren't just harmless expressions. They're emotional straitjackets that teach boys to disconnect from their feelings. Try replacing these with "it's okay to feel sad" or "I get scared sometimes too." These simple changes in vocabulary create space for emotional honesty where there was once only suppression. But it's not just about allowing emotions, it's about teaching boys how to handle them. When your son is angry, instead of sending him to his room to calm down, walk him through identifying the feeling. "I can see you're really angry right now. Let's take some deep breaths together, and then you can tell me what's wrong." This approach gives him tools to process emotions rather than just stuff them down. We also need to pay attention to how we respond when boys do open up. If your son finally works up the courage to say he's feeling insecure about something, and you respond with discomfort or immediately try to fix it, you're reinforcing the idea that vulnerability is dangerous. Instead, try, "Thank you for telling me that. It must have been hard to share. I'm here for you." This kind of response makes emotional risk-taking feel safe. An often overlooked aspect is helping boys develop an emotional vocabulary. Many men struggle as adults because they never learn to identify what they're feeling beyond mad or fine. Play emotion games when they're young. Are you feeling disappointed or frustrated right now? As they grow older, encourage journaling or regular check-ins about their emotional state. It's crucial that we extend this emotional education to how boys interact with others. Teach them that real friendship isn't just about shared activities, but shared feelings. Encourage them to ask their friends, "How are you really doing?" and to share their own struggles. This builds the foundation for meaningful relationships throughout their lives. We also need to challenge the cultural narratives our sons absorb. When you see examples of toxic masculinity in media, point them out. Notice how that movie is saying real men don't feel pain. That's not true or healthy. Help them develop critical thinking about these messages. Remember, this isn't about raising soft boys. It's about raising whole human beings. Emotional strength isn't the absence of feelings, but the ability to experience them fully and express them appropriately. A boy who can say, "I'm hurting," grows into a man who can form deep relationships, handle stress in healthy ways, and model better masculinity for the next generation. The most powerful thing we can do is show our sons through our own actions that emotions aren't weaknesses, but sources of strength. When we apologize to our children, we teach them humility. When we cry in front of them, we teach them authenticity. When we talk through our problems, we teach them resilience. This kind of parenting isn't always easy, especially if we weren't raised this way ourselves. But every time we choose emotional honesty over stoicism, we're breaking cycles that have harmed men for generations. We're giving our sons the priceless gift of knowing they don't have to face life's challenges alone, that their feelings matter, and that true strength comes from being fully human. The world needs men who are in touch with their emotions, not just for their own well-being, but for the health of their future relationships, their families, and society as a whole. And it starts with us, as parents, making different choices today than generations past. Not by sheltering our boys from reality, but by equipping them with the emotional tools to navigate it with authenticity and resilience.